It's been a rough trip for the Athletics. After running into a hot Blue Jays team, the Baltimore Orioles have not done the green and gold any favors. With a couple of walk-offs and a blowout yesterday, Bob Melvin and the boys are shaking their heads. But tonight, the A's get their ace back, Sonny Gray. The All-Star and ERA league leader will return to the mound after a setback last week. Sonny will hope to shut down a tough O's offense and send the team home with a win. It's Game 4. A's-O's next. It is the series finale and the road trip finale as we are at Camden Yards in Baltimore. And Sonny Gray is going to get back to work tonight. We're looking forward to seeing how Sonny handles this red-hot Baltimore Orioles lineup. Fourth game of the series. A's need a win. Have a good flight home. It's the A's and the Orioles wrapping things up. You'll see it right here on CSN California. Hey again, everybody, and welcome to Oakland A's Baseball. Along with Ray Fossey, I'm Glenn Kuiper. It's been 9 days since Sonny Gray took the hill, but looks like he's ready to go. He says the back feels good, and he's going to have a good challenge tonight against this Orioles team that's swinging the bats pretty well.
Well, let's hope they got all their hits out of the system yesterday, because they did unload on the Athletics. But Sonny Gray did not face the Orioles in Oakland, so the good news about that, they're going to be seeing a slider tonight that not a lot of people have been able to have success against. He's got the good curveball, the good fastball. See, his numbers have been outstanding, but the slider has been one that's gotten a lot of strikeouts, and it means also the catchers have to work hard because it does bounce. It goes down like a splitter. The Orioles have not seen that firsthand. We'll see if it works for them tonight.
Well, hitting home runs is what the Orioles do. In 2013 and 2014, they led the major leagues in home runs, and they're at it again this year. A's have seen it in this series.
Well, this is a home run hitting park, and we have seen a lot of home runs hit. The walk-offs, as you mentioned, also yesterday, the blowouts. This guy, Chris Davis, has hit everything. The one he hit against Vendetti, that one, a one-handed shot that almost on the ground, hit it for a walk-off in the second game. But they have been hitting mistakes, and I think that's the biggest thing you say about the Orioles. They are good enough hitters that when you make a mistake, they are not going to miss them. They have 1 through 9, all capable of going long balls, and they have been doing it against the Athletics.
All right, so that's the challenge tonight for the A's ace, Sonny Gray. He will be opposed by Orioles right-hander Chris Tillman. So a pretty good pitching matchup tonight as we wrap up this series and the road trip here in Baltimore. We'll have lineups and first pitch when we come back to Camden Yards. We're at Oriole Park at Camden Yards for the final game of this series. A's will head home after the ball game and start a homestand of their own. They just want a road win. They haven't won on this road trip just yet. Game time weather for tonight. It's presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. It's a beautiful night in Baltimore. 86 degrees and cooling off. Trust me. But it was hot and humid today, as always. So Sonny Gray set to go to work. It's good to have Sonny back. He's had some time off. The back feels better. And A's will try to get a W. Let's look at their lineup. It's going to start with Sam Fuld. So Billy Burns is going to get a night off. So Fuld will lead off and play center. Then Mark Canha is in left. Reddick in right. Valencia at third. Vogt will do the catching. Billy Butler is your designated hitter. Ike Davis at first. Marcus Semien at short. And Eric Sogard at second.
Chris Tillman will start for the Orioles tonight. Tillman faced the A's. He did not see them in Oakland as he was supposed to pitch, but he twisted his ankle, rolled over his ankle, and could not pitch in that series, so he gets the start tonight. Good fastball, mid-90s. He'll also throw a cutter with his fastball. The A's have seen him before, and of course seen him tonight last year. It's 6 2/3 innings in a game at the Coliseum, a game in which the A's won, but no decision for him.
Umpires tonight. That is Brian Knight. He's calling balls and strikes. Vic Carapaz is at first. Adam Hammery at second. Ron Kulpa at third. We're set for baseball as Chris Tillman kicks, and his first pitch is just a bit outside. He's come in 51 and 68, sitting on that 6-game losing streak. They're 24 and 34 on the road. So they have been struggling on the road as of late, not just this trip. They got swept in San Francisco and then they went to LA, split. So trying to get rolling again. And fouled straight back by Fuld, and the count is 2-2. A's have a 27 and 34 record at home, and then there's the 24 and 34 record. The road ERA took a beating yesterday. 2-2 pitch to Fuld is a sinker low, and now a full count. Canada follow, and then Reddick here in the first inning.
Cannot wait to see what Tillman looks like pitching out of the stretch, because he's already in it. I mean, talking about an abbreviated windup. This is amazing. Very few moving parts, and not do it this time.
Scope ranges to his left and throws out Sam Fuld for the first out of the ball game. Defensively for the Orioles, Henry Urrutia is in left field. Adam Jones in center. Gerardo Parra is in right. Manny Machado, J.J. Hardy, Jonathan Scope, and Chris Davis on the infield. And Caleb Joseph is behind the plate. Orioles hope to get Matt Wieters back tomorrow. He is not on the disabled list, but he's dealing with a hamstring. Sounded like. And we're going to rest him one more day and get him back tomorrow. He can DH.
Yeah, I did have a chance to ask him that, and he said exactly what you said. But as usual, and everybody talks about the right arm, of course, Tommy John surgery that he had, but he's also a switch hitter, which means the extension for him as a hitter. He said when he does not make contact is when it really hurts, and of course from both sides of the plate. But not surprising to hear that, and I thought maybe it might take less time because he's a position player, but he says as he's throwing, just a normal throwing session's okay, but when he gets behind the plate and it has to extend more, that's when it bothers him.
Interesting.
So yeah, I was a little surprised, but it's the same effect for a pitcher as well as a position player, evidently. But there were talks that maybe that happened with his pitching in college, that it finally caught up with him here.
But pitched a lot, right?
Pitched in college. Yeah, because typically you don't have a position player that has Tommy John surgery. But as a pitcher, yes, and maybe that was what happened.
Scope is under this one. He's got it. 2 outs here in the first inning, and Reddick will step in. Reddick hitting .282, 14 home runs and 61 RBIs. 2 for 7 in this series. He's got a home run. Home run and a double. There's 2 hits. Shift is on for Reddick. They won't listen to us, will they, Rick?
They won't listen to us, and they definitely won't listen to Reddick. And again, give him a lot of credit for his ability to hit the ball the opposite field.
Machado is playing right at the shortstop spot.
Buck Showalter was saying today that when he was in the minor leagues, that a player had 5 at bats they would shift, 5 plate appearances. And he says, so when you see somebody coming up here and they shift somebody that you wouldn't expect it, he said it starts in the minor leagues. I saw it in the Little League the other day. Little League World Series.
Well, that's a shame, actually.
Really,
I mean,
it was a regional tournament. A regional, the winner went to was going to the World Series, and they were shifting up the middle. The guy throws him a fastball, pulls it in the right field for a base hit.
There's something wrong with that.
I know.
Shifting in Little League.
I know.
Ace fan made the play in front of many, many, many Oriole fans.
And if he keeps it, we'll know he's a good guy. He can't. He's looking for a child to give it to, but none around him.
Hit high in the air. Jones backs up a couple steps, slides to his right a couple steps, makes the catch. Side retired. So Chris Tillman has a 3-up, 3-down inning, and for the first time in 9 days, Sonny Gray set to take the hill. Baltimore's lineup: Machado, Parra, Jones, Davis, Scope, Clevenger, Hardy, Urrutia, and Joseph.
And good to see Sonny Gray back in the rotation and pitching tonight. And of course, the A's have an off day on Thursday, and they'll be able to give him some extra time anyway. But he does take the mound tonight against a very hot Orioles ball club. 12 wins on the season, 2+ earned run average. Strikeouts, of course, about a 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which is always good. Make it 3-to-1. But still good regardless. And see how Sonny does with some extra rest.
So Machado is ready, and so is Sonny Gray. Check on some of those Cy Young candidates in the American League as well tonight. Sonny's in the mix. First pitch is a fastball low to Machado. 299, 25 home runs, 62 RBIs for Machado. He's got 5 hits in this series, a homer and a couple of doubles. He's got his name all over the offensive leaders in the American League.
2 pitchers pitching similarly as far as out of the windup. The semi-stretch for both of them. Very, very little movement with the left foot. You can see there with Sonny. We saw it with Chris Tillman.
Right to Sogard, and Sogard throws out Machado, 1 away. Defensively, the A's have Canna in left, Fold in center, and Reddick in right. Valencia, Simeon on the left side of the diamond. Sogard and Davis on the right side, and Vogt back behind the plate. Here's Gerardo Parra. Parra had 5 hits yesterday. He's got 9 hits in this series, 9 for 15. Rolls over on that one. Nice big hop for Sogard. 2 outs.
Looks like Sonny's trying to establish the fastball early. Of course, just 4 pitches to Machado. And first one to Parra. How about these hanging breaking balls? Well, that was a fastball that Chris Davis crushed. That was the fastball, and this was the one that Davis hit off the ground. So Chris Davis, they're all hitting home runs, even Adam Jones. But Davis in the on-deck circle is Jones, who yesterday got some hanging sliders that he did not wait around. Hit him in the bullpen. He used to hit him in his own bullpen instead of the upper bullpen, which is the A's.
Jones and Davis have combined to hit 6 home runs in this series.
They both swing hard. They make contact on hangers. That's a perfectly thrown fastball.
Overall, 22 homers, 63 RBIs for Jones. So another very fine season for Jones. He's been an all-star 5 times in his career. Still a relatively young player.
On Adam Jones. Yesterday, Kendall Gray, when there was a slider in the middle of the plate, that's the first one in the bullpen. Nice catch there. And for Mujica, that was just an elevated fastball. Also a mistake as far as where it was pitched, as far as the elevation. And he decided to take the rest of the afternoon off after that.
Outside, 1-2 to Jones. Jones turned 30 years old just a couple of weeks ago. Right in the prime of his career. Valencia scoops it up. Side retired. Sonny Gray, 3 ground ball outs in the first inning. So we are scoreless after 1 in Baltimore. Got it for you. Log on to csncalifornia.com as our A's insider Joe Stiglitz provides wire-to-wire reporting for this 2015 season. He's got breaking news, video, special features, and more. It's only on csncalifornia.com. Joe working hard again tonight, I'm sure. That young man's working hard. He's zeroing in on Danny Valencia. There's Joe. See, look, he's got something going right now.
Maybe he's going after that young man who maybe that young man was doing it.
Driven to right and hit well. And that baby is gone. Valencia the other way. A solo shot, and the A's lead 1-0.
Didn't take long. A rocket to the opposite field, first pitch, and Danny Valencia got an elevated fastball, and it didn't take us about belt high out over the plate, and that's great hitting to be able to go to the opposite field. They were planning him to pull. Parra just took a couple of steps and gave him a fan to watch, see how far the ball was going to go.
That's the home run total for Danny Valencia.
See the difference in the two locations of fastball. One of Valencia was up. First pitch to Stephen Vogt, knee high, and he didn't swing.
Stephen Vogt goes after that curveball, rolls it foul. So 0-2 to Vogt. Vogt is 3 for 9 in this series, and he's got a home run. Reaches for that one, stays alive. It's the batting average against Tillman. First batter faced in an inning. Interesting.
Since he's pitching like he's out of the stretch, maybe he should just walk the first batter and then he'd be out of the stretch anyway.
1-2 the count.
You see more and more guys do. Actually, David Price now with the Blue Jays has a similar setup, and they just do not feel they lose anything pitching this way in the old style of wind up. Here it comes, and they still throw very well. That fastball at 93, which is about his average.
And really, there's not a whole lot of difference between what they're doing now and being in the stretch.
Yeah.
I think that if you watch the right foot of Tillman, he slides it back a little bit, gets a little momentum, which you would not do if you were in the stretch.
And you see some starting pitchers that will pitch exclusively out of the stretch. Looking at Darvish on the DL, Drew Pomeranz to the A's. There are others.
That one's lined toward Jones in center, who comes in and he reaches down and makes the catch. Just running the play by Adam Jones.
A good opportunity for Stephen Vogt to go against the shift. He just happened to hit the ball in the air, and it was handled by the Gold Glover in center field, but you can see the huge gap between the shift, 3 to the right side. On the ground, it's a base hit. In the air, nice play by Adam Jones.
He's got 4 Gold Gloves in his career. He'll probably get a couple more.
Well, I remember he talked about how shallow he plays with all batters, and occasionally he will get burned, but he just robbed Stephen Vogt of a base hit by playing shallow.
And here's Butler. 239, 9 homers, 47 RBIs for Butler. Now, Ray, when we were talking about Tillman's delivery, I said his right foot moves a little bit. It's actually his left foot. And the only thing different is in the stretch, you would just lift that leg up.
Lift it up or slide it, which the guys will use with the slide step, but you're right. I knew what you meant.
And a little movement,
yeah,
little
and
momentum.
that's it. But that's you're right. Out of technically the stretch or the windup.
Good changeup there, 2-2.
We were watching the Kansas City Angels game last night, but Ronaldo Ventura, quick pitched out of the windup. He'd stand there and just throw. And I guess Cueto has brought that over from the Reds now with the Royals, and so it's different, and it's not like you're doing it all the time. But if you can vary which out of the windup with nobody on base, you can do anything you want to. Or Chad Bradford, quick pitch out of the stretch with nobody on base from down underneath. rake his knuckles on the dirt. Get so low.
3-2 delivery to Butler, and he fouls a straight back. You saw that note on Tillman. Last 11 starts, he has not lost since May 31st. So he's been on a nice roll, and when he has struggled a little bit in a start, the offense has picked him up.
And they have the offense to do exactly that.
Butler hits it high and foul, but you're talking about last loss May 31st, 2.5 months without an L. He started the season with a 2-6 record. And he has rolled along since then. Good pitch, swing and a miss. Fastball, little sinking action, and Butler strikes out. Billy Butler looks frustrated. I think he had to figure out what's going on.
He had 3 chances with 3 and 2. And that one just a little bit less velocity but more movement. The previous 2 3-2 fastballs, he didn't load up really quickly enough and fouled them back, and then got one that he swung through because of the difference in velocity.
So 2 away for Ike Davis. Davis takes the first pitch strike.
The Babe Ruth of Oakland A's pitches one day and plays first the next day. That's pretty good. I mean, like that home run with the 3, that was Babe Ruth's number, and he usually hit a lot more than 3 in a season. That was amazing. I think Babe Ruth in the city right here where he was born, Babe Ruth Museum in Baltimore.
His father owned a bar out in center field.
Right center field, right here. Exactly.
That bar's not there anymore.
Adam Jones is.
Adam Jones is standing where Babe Ruth's dad's bar used to be. Many, many years ago.
Let's say the guys who go in the Hall of Fame, or people have access to the archives, Cooperstown. One of the thrills is to pick up Babe Ruth's bat that he used.
It's like a weighted bat.
52 ounces.
Davis takes a bit high, and it's a 2-out walk, and that'll get us to our forward right choice. It is Ike Davis on the hill yesterday. Second appearance of this season. And he was pretty good. He gave up a walk and a hit, 17 pitches, but he got a strikeout.
Well, and he was smart to pitch around with first base open, you know, just pitch around the pitcher.
Use the open man.
Yeah. And then he strikes out Scope.
And then he gets the pop up.
11-2 gets that, so he's got a 0 earned run average
in 2 appearances. Crafty left-hander.
Ron Davis, his dad, great reliever for the Yankees. Man, he's got to be looking at the box scores and check. Hey, what if son's got any hits today?
So, Dad, I have a better ERA than you do.
Look at the grip. Got a little change-up grip. Key there, he knows how to pitch. I mean, having pitched in college the way he did, then stepping in the big leagues, it's almost like it's not, I don't know, kind of a spectacle that, you know, people kind of laugh and, hey, look at position players pitching. I mean, this guy knows how to pitch.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different deal with Ike Davis. A very good pitcher in college. Sounded like he had to kind of make a decision when draft time came around. Did he want to pitch? Or did he want to be a hitter, and he chose the hitter route?
I have known some hitters who have not been able to hit and became pitchers.
This happens quite often. Joe Nathan was a shortstop when he was drafted. Big Joe.
Remember Rocky Colavito when he played right field? I mean, he had a gun, and he actually got on the mound.
Probably could have figured it out as a pitcher.
Yes, I mean, you go from throwing from right field 300 feet to 90 or 60 feet 6 inches. Just control it and you throw it by everybody. He was a power pitcher from the outfield.
Right field, Parr gets back, and he's got plenty of room. Side retired, but the A's get on the board. Danny Valencia, the first pitch he sees, he goes the other way with a home run. So that long ball has given the A's a 1-0 lead. here in the Inner Harbor in Baltimore. Take you where you need to go.
Was it fun? Go over to Fort McHenry.
Yep.
The water taxi and take a look at the birthplace of the national anthem. All good things at Fort McHenry.
Chris Davis steps in. Davis, Scope, and Clevenger here in the second. Danny Valencia's home run has given the A's the 1-0 lead for Sonny Gray. Sonny, 9 days since his last start, which was on August 7th. He's been good in shutdown inning opportunities this year. He's got one here. Driven high and deep down the left field line and foul. Sonny comes in, obviously leading the American League in ERA. We know that. He's also 5th in innings pitched, 10th in strikeouts, and opponents average against, he's 1st. The league is hitting 198 against Sonny Gray. So that brings up the Cy Young question, which we will talk about every time Sonny takes the mound the rest of the year. Just from a number standpoint, and a swing and a miss. I think Keuchel and Gray right now may be your favorites. Dallas Keuchel's got 14 wins compared to Sonny's 12. Sonny's ERA is 2.06. Keuchel's is 2.36. And a good pitch there. Sonny Gray gets the strikeout. David Price is certainly in the conversation, but this is where Sonny sits in the rankings in some of the different categories. The 12 wins, so he's right in the mix there. Keuchel is 2nd in the league in innings pitched. He's 7th in strikeouts. And Keuchel with the 14-6 record. Sonny is 12-4.
Remember, Sonny missed 2 starts because of the salmonella, and he missed a start. And you start looking, there are 40 games remaining for the Athletics, and he's pitching tonight, so the earliest would be his 5. So let's say at that point you're looking at 35. How many starts? Maybe 6 or 7 more. And the nice thing about the numbers as far as wins are concerned, precedence has been set in that Greinke and Tim Lincecum and Felix Hernandez, they all had low win totals, but also low ERAs and opponents' batting average. Run support was down. So all those things at least probably would factor in. But I don't think the people who vote now will necessarily look at a 20-game winner and saying it's kind of an automatic, or you have to do that to be able to win. And also Felix won the Cy Young Award on a team that did not win, the Mariners. So all those things, again, would benefit Sonny, depending what happens the remainder of the season.
Now Felix has 14 wins, so he's tied with Keuchel for the lead in that category, but he's not in the top 10 in ERA. Once again, knocked around the other day. That pushed him out of the top 10 earned run average. That is fair. Pass Dyke Davis down the line. Scope will stop at first with a long single. First hit allowed for Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray last 6 starts, and then a little tighter the last 3 starts. 2 complete games in the last 3 starts for Sonny Gray. In those 3 starts, he's allowed 2 earned runs in 25 innings for a 0.72 ERA. So he's not fading, that's for sure. Here's Clevenger. Clevenger rolls from foul. David Price is 11-4. And Price is 4th in the league in ERA at 2.41. Price is 3rd in innings pitched. He's 4th in strikeouts. So the only thing holding David Price back at this point is the 11 wins. So just our take on it. I mean, right now, Keuchel, Price, and Gray may be the 3 front runners for that Cy Young Award. We'll see. Good pitch there, right at the knees with a fastball. And it's 1-2 to Clevenger.
But you know what's going to happen? Those two that you mentioned, Keiko with the Astros and Price now with the Blue Jays. You figure those teams are going to be going down the stretch, and they're going to have a lot to say about how well those teams do going down the stretch in postseason. Of course, the votes are tabulated by the end of the regular season. Nothing is counted in postseason.
1-2 pitch, and Clevenger chased it.
It's a hard slider.
Yeah, and it was a good one. So a couple strikeouts in this inning for Sonny Gray.
A pitch that hitters, and I would say the Dodgers, who are, I don't know if anybody's watching this game, but if they found out Sonny Gray's pitching tonight, they have to be ecstatic because he threw the slider so well. You know, Jock Peterson was frustrated because he kept throwing it to him, and he struck out a couple of times. Dodgers in town tomorrow night at the Coliseum. Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon. Short 2-game series.
Felix Dubront is going to pitch tomorrow for the A's. My brother's not happy with me. In fact, he didn't want to talk to me today because Sonny's not pitching against the Dodgers.
I figured as much.
Sorry. Yeah. Got to get him out there as much as possible, as quick as possible. He'll get it. Right? Tapped at the plate, foul. Some slider talk from Sonny Gray. I think the usage percentage is the one that's going to jump out. And Ray, you've talked a lot about how he's using it a lot more. Less curveballs, more sliders. And on top of using it more, it's been a terrific pitch. So you don't see the curveball that much from him.
No, and you know, usually if you have one, the other doesn't work, and vice versa. But you know, the sliders work so effectively for him that he gets more strikeouts with it. It's a pitch that hitters see as a good pitch and then disappears. Talking to gentle Ben McDonald, who is doing some radio work for the Orioles and pitched for the Orioles. He saw Sonny Gray pitch at Vanderbilt, and I said, "Did you see the slider?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Wait till tonight." So he's getting a chance to see it tonight for the first time, as well as these Orioles. There it is, taken by Hardy. That's a pitch that hitters usually swing at. It looks like a splitter, but it's thrown hard, and you just start your swing and cannot stop quickly enough. And Hardy is able to. Had a tough day yesterday, did Hardy. But you can see the delivery came out of his hand like a curveball, but it's thrown harder. And that's the difference in the two pitches.
So 2-2 to J.J. Hardy. And there's a good one, and Hardy swings and misses. And 3 strikeouts for Sonny Gray, sandwiched around a base hit by Scope. 1-0 A's as we go to the third.
Fans, this is your chance to meet A's second baseman Eric Sogard. Eric will be signing autographs at the Xfinity store at 31055 Courthouse Drive in Union City on August the 22nd. That's from 11 a.m. to noon. This opportunity is limited to the first 150 fans, so make sure to get there early. And when you do and you ask him for the autograph, say, "Can you show me your socks? Can you show me the striped socks that he wears so proudly?"
Numbers for Sogard: 247 with 24 RBIs. 1-1 the count from Chris Tillman. And there's a line drive toward left. Rudy is there. He's got it.
Well, all outfielders follow the captain in center field and Jones on playing shallow. I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's got to be so frustrating. You think of it from a hitter standpoint, you have the shift. That's frustrating. And then you have outfielders playing so shallow, and many hits that usually or at one time would drop in front of the outfielders now become outs. So you can wonder why pitching's so dominant. Or it should be anyway. I mean, you look out right now for Sam Foley, it looks like there's 30 guys in the field.
And all shallow.
Exactly. Look at that. I mean, where do you hit the ball? Pitchers throw harder, they throw better, and then you create the shifts.
That's why you wonder too in big ballparks, and we're talking about it's big ballpark.
Well, Kansas City's
yeah, right. Big. Yeah. Coors Field,
yeah.
Parks like that.
Yankee Stadium, even.
Yankee Stadium. You ask hitters, and they'll say, "Well, these big parks, it's not so much the fact that." Or I guess I'm kind of talking about Coors Field in general, but it's not so much that balls fly out of the ballpark. It's that there's so much outfield room for balls to land in front of hitters.
Right.
So you're wondering, well, you play in a big ballpark, you still may be better off playing shallow.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to put too much green in front of you, even though the ball may be flying in that ballpark.
But it seems like in Denver that you do see the outfielders playing a little deeper, and there's more space between the infielders and outfielders, just like you said. I don't think Sam Foley liked that call. The 2-strike pitch from Tillman. And you can understand why. That ball just started sinking down, and I don't know where Brian Knight. See, they changed. That was supposed to be Larry Vano.
Yeah. Vano over the crew chief.
Right. And the rest of the crew's here, so it must be vacation time for Larry. Hope he's okay otherwise, but it seemed to be fine yesterday. Maybe that's why he's smiling all day.
He knew that Monday's right around the corner. So Larry got to leave on Sunday night.
Yeah.
We did not get to leave on Sunday night.
And neither did Carapazza, Culpa, and Hamari. Is it pronounced it Hamari or Hamari?
Hamari, I believe, is what the great Vince Cotroneo told me that was the proper pronunciation. Vinny checks on these things. And I appreciate Vinny for making sure we're on top of it.
Well, I mean, we could go down and see Matt Weiss, who takes care of the umpires at the Coliseum. I just fly right by that room. And
we don't want the umpires to see us and be like, "You're the two guys." Now I know what you guys look like. I know what you guys sound like.
We have to be careful with Richie Garcia because Vic Carapazza is his son-in-law. We mentioned that. So Richie, one of the better umpires of the past. You see Eddie Montague a lot at the Coliseum.
One of our favorites.
Probably the only umpire that's ever ejected me from the broadcast booth.
Did he throw you out?
Well, he's thrown me out several times because I usually get on him about the guys that he's monitoring.
He takes it pretty good, though. Well, chuckles about it.
He takes it pretty good. He also takes it seriously. He's a good man.
He is good. He's cleared up like 20 things in the last 2 years. Questions you may have. And he clears it up for you, and we appreciate that. Scope cannot get it, and Canna goes the other way for a 2-out single. The Orioles, and there's a lot of talk about the fact that it's obviously a night game here. A's Canna shoots one the other way.
See where Scopes, the second baseman, is, and the fastball, and I'm just surprised because Canna, if you look at his spray chart, he does hit the ball a lot to right field. This is his first year. He's a Rule 5 player, and you know they have the spray charts, but still he does so well going to the opposite field.
So here's Reddick.
Start to say about this night game?
Well, listen, I think we'd all wished it would have been a day game, but the Orioles are staying home. They host the Mets,
who are in town already.
Who are already in town, and in fact, the Orioles are home the rest of this week. Yeah, they get the Mets Tuesday and Wednesday, so they're, you know what, they're gonna make it a night game. They're not leaving after. I don't know that they're gonna really worry so much about the A's travel situation.
And I was
may not sound fair, but it's just the reality of it.
I was talking to someone, and let's just remember too that the Orioles took one trip west, played the A's, the Angels, and the Mariners, one trip, and that's it. And I was told by one of those, you know, next year we have to go to the West Coast 3 times.
Oh my goodness! Oh,
3 times next year. I've already seen the schedule.
Man. hope they're going to be okay. So the A's will return home. We'll be home very late. But night game tomorrow, day game on Wednesday, then an off day, then the Rays come to town, and then back on the road, 3 in Seattle, and then to the desert, 3 in Arizona. So we'll have an off day next Thursday.
115. It's not bad in Phoenix during the summer.
Round of golf.
4 in the morning.
Early in the morning or late in the afternoon.
And ball hit it. Or it was catcher's interference.
Oh, catcher's interference.
Must have been catcher's interference. Ball was foul, so
the A's will take it.
Joseph just got his glove out a little bit too quickly because Josh Reddick holds his bat back. And as Joseph goes after it, and
it's just a little bit.
So that's an E2, no plate appearance for Josh Reddick.
So E2. And now Valencia hits. RBI opportunity. A changeup that stays high. Valencia homered to right center field, leading off the second inning.
Well, I always say it's important for a catcher to realize the hitters, how they swing, and how close you can get to the plate and to the hitter so that you're not called for catcher's interference. And you let the ball come to you instead of going after it.
Hardy grabs it, backhanded, caught it in the air, tumbles over, side, retired. So the A's strand a pair, and we're going to the bottom of the third. The Urrutia, Joseph, and Machado. 1-0 Athletics. CSNCA Data Strong fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. 1-0 the A's lead on a Valencia home run. So Sonny Gray. 3 strikeouts in the second inning. Gave up a hit in that inning. So he has looked good early on. First pitch just a bit outside. So we mentioned the Mets, the fact that they're actually here.
Got in last night, okay.
I knew that because Tyler Clippard was standing in the lobby surrounded by A's players.
Yeah. And I saw Bob Guerin, former manager, now with the bench coach for Terry Collins. He's having breakfast with Ty Wall.
Gotcha.
So, and I asked Bob, I said, "You already here?" He says, "We came in last night. We always do that." I said, "You're an hour away." But I guess that's kind of what teams do now. Said Cespedes was doing well. He was traded to the Mets. And in fact, Bob said that Terry Collins and he were talking. They were saying about Cespedes playing. He said left field or right field. And said center field. He said, well, he hasn't played that much. And they checked. He played a lot of games. As a matter of fact, he played in Cuba all the time in center field.
I saw him the other night play center field.
Yeah, no, he's been playing. Yeah. And so evidently Bob Guerin convinced Terry Collins and say, hey, put him in center field. And then I guess it was Lagares who been struggling, so they could put him in defensively late and move Cespedes over to one of the corners.
Mets in first place in the National League East.
Got some help this past week with the Nationals out west.
Nationals, that's a head scratcher there. Nationals just nearby, so they're a topic of conversation in this area. They've lost 6 in a row and they're a game under 500. Can't quite figure out how that can happen. Max Scherzer has not been pitching well. Started out great. A lot of star power on that team.
Well, when you start the season after an off season of signing certain players, and you're supposed to not only win the division, the league, but the World Series. That's a lot of pressure to put on a team. And now some say that if they don't win the division, they might not get in postseason because there's 3 teams in the Central that are playing well.
In the air to right field, hit pretty well. Reddick is going to have room, no warning track he's got. So Caleb Joseph is retired.
There's a difference of a fly ball versus a line drive that was hit by Danny Valencia that went into the seats for the only run of the game. Joseph got a little bit inside, stayed inside the ball, but got under it and lofted it instead of driving it.
So Machado steps up. Again, those Nationals 4.5 games behind the Mets in the East, but they're 9.5 back of the second wild card. So
just think if the Mets had not been swept by the Pirates.
I don't think anybody's feeling sorry for the Nationals, though. Some of their players announced at the beginning of the season that no question we're the team to beat. That never sits all that well, and probably not a smart thing to say, because everybody doesn't think you're the team to beat.
And why put a bullseye on your back in the first place if that's the case?
Exactly.
You play every game that you're supposed to win, and everybody's trying to beat you, no matter who you play.
Sogard grabs the line drive, and that's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Sonny Gray. So we're moving to the 4th. Vogt, Butler, and Davis to hit for the A's, and it's a 1-0 Athletics lead.
Live streaming sports service is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Banners do not come with it to... Poor lady was taking a beating.
Yeah. A's fan. Phone cover. Athletics. Probably on that app right now.
Be careful for foul balls flying in the stands.
1-0 to Vogt. Vogt hit a line drive to center field in the second inning. Butler to foul, and then Davis against Chris Tillman. Two 2-0 the count. And now 3-0. One walk, two strikeouts so far for Tillman. And a 4-pitch walk. So Vogt's aboard to lead off the fourth inning. A second walk for Tillman. Every team has a trade that they wish they would have never made. Chris Tillman is part of the Seattle Mariners trade that they wish they would have never made. It was Chris Tillman, Adam Jones, Cameron McColio, George Sherrill, and Tony Butler in exchange for Eric Bedard. So the Mariners gave up 5 players, 2 of them Jones and Tillman, who are really cornerstones of the team. And I'm sure the Mariners are sick of people reading that trade out of the media guide. Tillman's a very good pitcher. He was an all-star in 2013. He's going to get a double play here in Billy Butler. So Butler hit it up the middle, but Hardy made a nice play, sliding to his left. And it's a 6-4-3 double play.
And watch Scope at second. Catches the ball, steps back, and then uses a very, very strong arm to complete the double play, knowing that he had time to turn the double play. Didn't panic. But the start of it was Hardy. And these two guys play a lot up the middle. Man, if you look at this infield, kind of reminiscent of years past with Brooks and Belanger and Johnson and Boog Powell across the infield. And those guys play together. And you're watching Hardy and Scope. Scope has learned a lot from Hardy, and you can just tell how they play up the middle. How confident they are that the balls hit on the ground, they're going to make something happen.
Well, Hardy's got a contract for a couple more years. Scope, still a young player. Machado's not going anywhere, so I don't know what's going to happen with Davis, but those other 3 could be together for a while, at least a couple more years.
Well, the guy who could play first is the hitter we saw yesterday, is also his catcher, Steve Clevenger.
Looks like he can hit.
He can hit. He can play all different positions. And you talk about trades. How about Jake Arrieta to the Cubs for him? So
he better be good.
Because Jake Arrieta is very good, as Joe Madden has found out.
So the double play helps Tillman, and we're going to the bottom of the 4th. Parra, Jones, and Davis coming up. Still 1-0 A's.
Sogard with your very own striped Sox backpack. And Eric Sogard has his proudly tonight. Presented by Chevron Techron Advantage Credit Card on Monday, September the 7th. 15,000 fans receive this stylish backpack modeled after the preferred footwear of Sonny and Sogi. Get your Labor Day tickets now at athletics.com/tickets, or you can call 877-493-BALL. There they are. It looks just like the backpack.
It's a good look.
He went shopping in the offseason. I wonder what he's going to shop for this offseason. Came up with those striped socks. So Sonny Gray, 3 ground balls in the first, 3 strikeouts in the second, 3 fly ball outs in the third.
And the heart of the order here in the fourth. So this would be a good challenge for Sonny Gray. Parra, Jones, and Davis. Low strike call. Parra didn't like it.
Well, that's a Sam Fuld strike that he was called out on, and very similar to height. I mean, it was about as low. I mean, it looked like it had the plate, but low as it was to Sam Fuld.
Parra asks for time and gets it. And a good pitch there as it grabs the outside corner. That was more of a strike than the pitch before. Parra doesn't like either of them.
And that was more of the curveball. And the curveball back door, and Brian Knight. So the reaction of Parra. I wonder where Brian Knight came from. Where was he? Because,
well, maybe it was his week of vacation.
That's a good point. Could have been. We'll have to ask Eddie Montague if he shows up tomorrow night. Coliseum. I think Larry Vano was crew chief though.
Yep.
So it would have been worth him, I would think.
Vogt sets up inside. 1-2 pitch is hit toward Valencia. Charges, throws, and they got him. Nice play by Valencia. Parra runs pretty well.
John Russell might be getting on the phone. When I saw him step down, this ball squibbed off the end of the bat. Parra out quickly. Nice play though by Valencia. And a nice stretch by Ike Davis at first base. That's always important, especially with a ball that's hit softly. Got him by full stride.
So 6 in a row retired by Gray. Jones grounded out to Valencia in the first inning. More action. Valencia charges again, throws on the run, and that's 2 outs. Look at the AL wildcard race, which is tight. Orioles are now the #2 wildcard team. Angels are just a half game back. Rangers are 1 back. Twins 1.5. Rays 2.5. And the games back are of the second wildcard team. So it is a tight group right now. Orioles 4 back in the American League East. 4 back of the Yankees. The Orioles still play the Yankees 6 times. They play the Jays 6 times. So they will have opportunities in that division. But right now they're the second wild card team. Last year they won the division.
If you saw the White Sox with their record, they're 5 under 500. They're 4.5 behind the second wild card. The A's finished the pre-All-Star break 8.5. They were 9 games under 500, 8.5 behind. And
Sogard cannot pick it up clean, and Davis is aboard.
That was strange developing, wasn't it? I mean, it's right to Sogard, and it's like, where's the ball? Sogard had it played perfectly, went to his right, but he didn't have Stephen Vogt pointing because it stood between his legs as he went down to one knee, figuring he had time to throw out Davis.
So it's an error on Sogard. Remember, Sogi had a 52-game errorless streak as a second baseman this year, but now he's made 3 errors in the last 8 games. You just do not see him miss a lot of ground balls.
You know, 2 of those counts have been because of the shift.
And that one is belted right center field. Fuld is able to get to it quickly. Davis is going to go to third. He'll stop there. It's a long single for Schoop. So luckily the ball did not get through to the wall. So first and third, 2 outs. Schoop is 2 for 2.
Well, that was a perfect pitch to hit, and I thought when it left his bat it was going to go to the wall, but Sam Fuld straight away center field. If there was ever a time to play straight up, that was it. Checked up, and he circled around to get the ball back in, and even with 2 outs, Davis could not score. Does not run all that fast, which helped the A's there. Now they have to get the tough Clevenger. And more importantly, not have an error turn into an unearned run, which that's been the problem for the Athletics when they've made an error. But the 2 of the 3 that have been made, Sogard on one, and the shift, and he had to charge in and miss the ball.
Clevenger lofts one down the left field line.
And tonight, the ball with the shift in the outfield, he was there and had plenty of time, just couldn't find the ball.
Clevenger struck out in the second. He's 4 for 10 in the series. Pitch is lifted foul again. Valencia will run out of room. So Gray jumps ahead of Clevenger. Clevenger, a bit of a fan favorite because he was born here and lives here.
Yeah. So the trade had to make him happy.
Yes, indeed. And that one's hit well to right field. Reddick's going back, and it is gone. An 0-2 pitch, and Clevenger hits a 3-run homer.
Location, location. And it does become 3 unearned runs, at least at this point. But the location, try to go in, a little bit of a cutter, and he got to it before it really got into it too quickly. You know, it seemed like Sully pitching down the stretch, trying to hurry his delivery. And that, again, in a park where the ball carries well.
Well, here's Hardy. So 11th home run in this series by the Baltimore Orioles. They put on a power show. So 0-2 to Hardy, who struck out in the second inning. Looked like he pulled his hands in just a little bit.
Joseph did it yesterday when he had the home run in the left field, and Clevenger did it tonight.
2 pitches, a slider that Hardy lays off.
Sonny was telling us in Cleveland after he had the 2-hit shutout against the Indians before the All-Star game. Said he thought maybe he's going to the slider a little bit, maybe too much, going back to the fastball. That time he maybe should have thrown the slider.
Simeon spins, throws, and Ike Davis can't dig it out, and Hardy will be aboard. It's going to be an E6.
That's a tough play, and I don't know that I agree with the official score on that one, because the spin, I mean, he could have short-armed it. Ball's in the center field for base hit, comes up with it with good range, and when he made the spin, you don't always get as much on the throw when you make the 360 and your momentum's carrying to the outfield. But he'll say he should have made the play, didn't, and it is another error.
Urrutia steps in. More action for Semien. He's going to go across the diamond, and Urrutia's out. Side retired, but a costly error by the A's, and the Orioles make the A's pay. Clevenger with a 3-run homer. 5th inning coming up. 3-1 Baltimore. Brought to you by Chevron. Clayton Kershaw and Felix Dupont is the matchup. So Kershaw and the Dodgers come in for, as Ray said, just a 2-game series. It'll be a day game on Wednesday, night game tomorrow night. Our coverage starts at 6:30 here on CSN California. So Clayton Kershaw, one of the game's best, if not the best. Maybe not record-wise this year. He's 10-6, but nobody is more dominating than Kershaw. Shift is on for Semien, and Hardy takes care of it. So Semien's retired. 1 out here in the top of the 5th inning.
I think the one pitch that I know I'm looking forward to seeing, so I don't have to hit it, is a curveball.
Exactly.
Because it's, I mean, his delivery and his curveball, and you know, it's just one of those 12-6 curveballs that one of the best in the game, and not to mention his other pitches. But
he's probably, this is just one man's opinion, but he's probably the most dominant starter in baseball. Just as far as a guy who tough to hit, strike you out.
Well, I had the privilege, and it was a privilege and an honor to see and try to hit Sandy Koufax. And whereas Koufax, from what I understand, has worked with Kershaw. I mean, they have similar type curveballs, a little different deliveries, but the same 12-6 curveball. And talk about domination, you know, curveball, and his period of time that he did pitch for his elbow forced him to leave a little bit earlier than he wanted to, but still a Hall of Famer, gentleman, and tremendous curveball. And that delivery between the curveball and his fastball, I mean, you throw perfect games, it's got to be good.
And his teammate Zach Greinke is probably having a better year statistically, but I just don't think anybody's as dominant as Kershaw.
No. And
if he's on, you're done. You don't have a shot. Urrutia, the left fielder, has it. Sogard is retired, so 2 outs.
In fact, there are very few pitchers, I think, that can take the mound And you're always wondering, are they going to pitch a no-hitter?
Oh, no question.
And Nolan Ryan, of course, had pitched 7 as he did. Koufax, the perfect games and no-hitters. But it's like when Kershaw takes them out. And even Greinke probably too. But as far as Kershaw, it's just, you think.
It's just different.
It is. It is. It's like,
just like, are we going to get a hit off this guy?
Right, exactly.
Bunted out in front. Throw to first, and it hit full, but I think they're going to call him out.
Call him out.
Yeah. And
well, and this is going to be a little argument here, because that is not necessarily true. Because that, well, we'll see. But I'm not surprised Brian Knight called him out, but we have had instances where that running path is not necessary for the runner to be in there. Caleb Joseph tried to clear himself, and he actually cleared himself enough that he could have made the throw inside and it been an out. But he threw into the runner. But you see how Joseph went out farther and farther to get a better angle, but the ball still took it in.
So Sam Fuld is called out, and that will do it for the A's in the top of the 5th. Bottom of the 5th coming up.
That's it.
Put himself in the middle of the picture, the home plate umpire, as he not only threw out Sam Fuld, but he threw out Bob Melvin as well, all while you were away in the commercial break. Sam Fuld, he was arguing, and Brian Knight threw him out.
And he said, I didn't do anything. Wonder what Larry Vanover would have done if he had been here tonight. See, Bob Melvin, I think, went maybe to look at the replay, and then the quick hook by Brian Knight, he was ejected.
So Brian Knight putting on a show for everybody here in Baltimore.
Well, and again, the bunt of Sam Fuld, the running path, it no longer exists. So his momentum, and we have seen these, but if Caleb Joseph had made the throw that he was trying to make, Chris Davis would have caught the ball about leaning in towards fair play.
So Billy Burns comes in the game in center field as Fuld is gone. And the manager is gone as well. 3-1 the Orioles lead as Caleb Joseph leads things off. First pitch is up and in. So Valencia with a home run for the A's in the second. Clevenger with a 3-run homer in the 4th. Sogard dives, nice play, gets up, throws in time, and a nice play by Sogard to take a hit away from Caleb Joseph. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th.
This is Eric Sogard. Normal position, dive, and up and throwing out Caleb Joseph. And sometimes the shift can work against you playing in the outfield. And Sogard's probably one of the few, if any, infielders that will actually take ground balls into the outfield because he knows it's a different hop. And evidently something happened with Chris Davis that he hit the ground ball that scooted through and was given an error, and Orioles scored 2.
Machado shoots one the other way for a hit. First hit for Manny Machado, 4th hit for the Orioles.
Inside out, big hole to the right side, and really against a shift in a sense is Sogard closer to second base.
So Gerardo Parra steps up. He has grounded to second. He has grounded to third. Check swing, and it is a swing. That's Ron Kulpa.
He must be the acting crew chief, or taking over as the crew chief, because he was the one that was at the plate with everything going on. He was the one that Bob Melvin was talking to, and he was the one also that was trying to get Sam Fuld back in the dugouts, or well, I guess back in the dugout after he'd been ejected.
Takes low, and the count is 1-1. Adam Jones to follow here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Close play at first. Pitch number 60 coming up for Sonny Gray. Field straight up, looking for a ground ball, and that one's high. Now 2-1. Parra sprays the ball around pretty well. He's got decent power. He's not a real big guy. And Parra just hit Stephen Vogt in his practice swing. They check on each other. Been that kind of road trip for the A's.
Yeah.
It's luckily that it didn't look like the bat actually hit his chin. It just hit his mask, but it had to be pretty close.
An extension underneath, and you got him straight on the mask, but yeah, you'd hate to see him come out underneath and get him in the Adams out. Well, Stephen Vogt's like the magnet, but we didn't know it was a magnet with no pitch being thrown.
Machado not going anywhere, and the ball's rolled foul up the first base line. So a full count. See if Machado takes off this time. Not running, and the ball's hit high in the air. Should reach the seats, and it will. Be careful. The Whirlybird practice swing. It's the big one right here. Be careful. Machado runs this time, and the ball's bounced. Simeon backhands, and he's going to At least keep Machado at second. A nice play by Simeon, but it'll be a hit for Parra.
See, there's a case of a pitch outside. I guess they thought Parra was going to be pulling the ball, and he just stayed inside, went that direction, because with Simeon the one covering, there's a little bit of a surprise because of the location of the pitch and the type of pitch. Looked like it was a fastball away.
Simeon looks like he may be hurting a little bit. Don't know exactly what happened.
Fallen awkwardly. Made a great dive to catch the ball. See how he landed on his left side. Right there. That's where you see the dirt, and then he rolled over. But see all the dirt on his jersey and his pants, and that's where he landed hard. So maybe it was a hip issue, but he did keep the runner Machado from going to third, and that's big because that's first and third and one out. And now trying to get Adam Jones hit the ball on the ground.
Fastball inside. They check, and Vic Carapazza says no swing. 1-0 to Jones, who is grounded out twice to third. 7 for 15 in the series. And he went right back in there, did Sonny Gray, and this time Jones went around.
Yesterday, a fly ball that should have been caught, and Coco going in, Simeon out, and kind of met the midsection. I think Simeon might have been hurt there a little bit. I guess Coco was a little banged up too much to play tonight, maybe from that play.
Foul back to the screen. 1-2 now. Machado at second and Parra at first.
Jammed him his first at bat, or his last at bat. Both times grounded to third base, but the last time got the fastball inside and jammed him, and maybe that's what they're trying to do again. Out there over the slider.
And no chance for Adam Jones as he chased it. Strikeout number 4 for Sonny Gray, and now he's got to get Chris Davis.
Another hard slider after a couple of fastballs in, and pitch out of the strike zone. It's funny, see him throw that pitch and think about Sonny Gray against the Dodgers and throwing the slider and striking out the way he did. And Mark McGwire, the hitting coach, the next day will be honoring his career tomorrow night with a bobblehead giveaway. But Mac was saying, I told the hitters, you get 2 strikes, he's going to throw it. And more times than not, it's not a strike. It's just the guys commit because it looks like a strike and bites quickly out of the strike zone and usually down in the dirt.
Chris Davis chased a pitch that was quite a ways inside, and it got a piece of Stephen Vogt, of course. This pitch was about a foot off the plate.
Right foot, right knee, right something. The right side, and the right toe. Oh, that's good. That extension over the foot, and it just happened to move out of the way as that ball went down and got right where he's supposed to be protected.
The wind moved it. 0-1 to Davis. And that one just missed Davis. Couldn't have missed him by a whole lot.
I don't know how it didn't hit him. Great play by Stephen Vogt going to the backhand because it bounced, and that's the hard slider, and there's a reason Sonny Gray has a number of wild pitches, because that's hard slider in the dirt. Catchers have to do a great job of blocking it.
Davis tonight has struck out, and he reached on an error. And that one is just foul. Vogt grabbed it, but it was in foul territory.
It's a mud ball.
In the 4th inning, Davis batted with 2 outs, nobody on, and he hit a ground ball to Sogard. Sogard playing out on the grass. It was fairly routine, but could not pick it up clean. And then Scope singled, and then Clevenger with a 3-run homer. So all 3 runs against Sonny Gray tonight unearned. And that's the unfortunate thing because he's pitching well.
Mike Aldretti, the bench coach, acting manager, with Bob Melvin being ejected. Kurt Young, pitching coach, to his left. And there's the phone. So we'll see. Bob Melvin actually could be in the runway, or he could be in the clubhouse.
But he's still manager.
Yes, he is. Okay.
That's Clevenger. He's the hero right now. So 2-2 to Chris Davis. Just a touch inside with a breaking ball. Full count. Runners will take off. Davis steps out, steps back in. There's your shift. Simeon now backs up, and the payoff pitch is just inside. Vogt took 2 steps toward the dugout. He thought it was strike 3. So did Sonny Gray.
I think it was also. Have a great night, Mr. Knight. I don't know what was wrong with it. Unless he was blocked. He was trying to protect himself so much, but maybe got blocked down by Chris Davis' swing. That was a strike.
So Sonny made a good pitch, but called the ball. And now the bases are loaded for Scope, who's 2 for 2, 2 singles and a run scored. So Scope's had pretty good swings against Gray. And that one's bounced right side. Sogard will have this one. Side retired. So bases are left loaded. Stephen Vogt has a chat with Brian Knight as he heads back to the dugout. It's 3-1 Orioles after 5.
Coliseum tomorrow for the Mark McGwire bobblehead giveaway driven by Chevrolet. Big Mac will be on hand as we honor his A's career. The all-time A's home run leader helped the A's reach 3 straight World Series from 1988 to 1990 and win the title in 1989. For tickets, call 877-493-BALL or visit athletics.com. Forward to seeing Big Mac again as we did in Los Angeles. Honeycutt, the pitching coach, for Don Madden, the manager.
Breakdown outs for Tillman, who has a first pitch strike to count. Dodgers, I'm sure they're probably tucked into their hotel room in the Bay Area.
It's only 20-6 there, probably having dinner.
All right, they're having dinner. Sorry about that huge mistake that I made. Dodgers are having dinner, and then they'll tuck themselves back.
But, you know, it's hard for me to think about California time, but it is 3 hours earlier. So
it's been on the East Coast for a while.
For 7 days, 8 days.
Still early back there.
Yes, it is. Still no rain either.
Just earthquakes, unfortunately.
How about that?
Canna drives one to right. Parra's back, turns around, and it is gone. Right up on the shelf in right field, and it's 3-2.
Well, the shelf gave one to Parra the other night, and for Canna the same way. His first after the All-Star. It's been a while. It was over 2 months. August or June the 11th, the last time. This fastball away, and again another home run off a right-handed batter. 9 home runs for Mark Canha, all coming against right-handed pitchers. And just up over the ledge. That's amazing.
It came on an 0-2 pitch. Orioles just wanted to make sure that it did clear the fence, and their replay showed that it did.
Clevenger hit a 3-run home run. The A's have hit 2 solos. What the A's did in the opening of the series with Reddick homering, Sam Fuld homering, both solos.
The power of the 3-run homer.
That's right.
Reddick bunts and it rolls foul. And not a bad idea. Machado playing at the shortstop spot, so he's the only one on the left side. So for Canha, home run number 9. He now has 39 RBIs. Reddick taps that one, and it's fair. Caleb Joseph picked it up right on the line, and Reddick is retired. And Joseph had to hustle over there before it rolled foul, and he was able to get to it. So that's the first down here in the top of the 6th inning.
And the grass right up to the edge, as we had noted in the opener of the series, and kind of stayed on the grass, would not go foul. That's about as close as you're going to see grass go to a foul line, at least in the American League.
So one away for Valencia. Valencia goes after that first pitch, rolls a foul. First place Astros are back in action. They're in the middle of a long homestand. They got a series with the Rays that starts tonight, a 4-game set. Rays are right in the mix in the wild card. Hardy backhands, straightens up, and that's out number 2.
Anytime I see J.J. Hardy field a ground ball, I think of what Buck Showalter said in Oakland, where Hardy said, just give me the times of the hitters running to first base. And you watch him, and when he's fielded a ground ball, when Semien was running, he got it and threw it quickly. With Valencia, kind of took his time. Butler takes his time. But he said, I don't care who they are, just tell me how fast they get down the line. And really, that is going to determine whether they hurry the throw or take the time. And if you know those times, it's not a bad idea.
So 2 outs for Vogt. Well, whatever he's doing, he's got gold gloves.
He's got gold gloves, and he's as steady as there is up the middle. And think about infielders when they do at times make errors. Maybe they rush a little bit too much, and it becomes a matter. And that's why, I mean, think of Cal Ripken Jr. All the years he played at shortstop, he didn't have the greatest range, but he watched the pitchers and watched how they pitched and where the location was and how the hitters would hit the ball. So he found himself in position to make the play instead of having moving laterally so much.
3-0 to Vogt, who walked his last time up. In fact, he walked on 4 pitches his last time, and he's 3-0 this time. another 4-pitch walk. So 3 walks now, 2 strikeouts for Tillman. And now Butler will hit a strikeout and a double play for Butler so far.
So Stephen Vogt must be the guy tonight that Tillman doesn't want to be there. He's
that's true.
Walked him with 8 pitches the last 8.
That Astros game, the Rays have jumped out to a 4-0 lead in the 2nd inning in Houston, and that's Scott Kazmir. So rough start for Kazmir so far, but early. Butler rolls it foul. Second place Astros, who trail, or the Angels, excuse me, the second place Angels, who trail the Astros by 3.5. They are home this week, opening up a series against the White Sox tonight. Rodon and Heaney, a couple of young left-handers set to square off. Get started in about an hour and a half. Up high to Butler, 1-2 the count. The Angels really struggling. They've lost 6 out of 7. They just got swept in Kansas City. Ray, they are 6-17 in their last 23 games. That is hard to believe.
Too good for that, for sure.
Butler fouls it back. .91 pitches for Tillman. And that one's hit hard, backhanded by the second baseman Jonathan Scope, and he throws out Butler, side retired. Another home run for the A's, a solo shot by Mark Canha as he goes to right field. Bottom of the 6th coming up, 3-2 Orioles lead.
It has been the long ball. Danny Valencia to right field. That gave the A's an early 1-0 lead. First pitch hitting to the opposite field. And then a routine ground ball. Second base, although Eric Sogard in the outfield on the shift, and the ball couldn't find it. And then 2 batters later, Steve Clevenger with his 3-run home run. Make it 3-1. And then Canha going opposite field against Chris Tillman, just over the out-of-town scoreboard. The one has been lowered considerably. A's trail 3-2. We're 6th inning. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT, mobilizing your world.
Clevenger, Hardy, and Urrutia here in the bottom of the 6th inning. So Sonny Gray, 8 ground ball outs, 3 flyouts, and 4 strikeouts. He's walked 1. And the damage has been done by this young man, Steve Clevenger. Matt Wieters being a free agent, I got to believe the Orioles are taking a very close look at Clevenger. Well, not only Matt Wieters, but Chris Davis.
Yeah.
Your catcher and your first baseman. Good slider there, and that is strikeout number 5 for Sonny Gray.
A couple of curveballs, then finished him off with a slider and took a lot off the 2-strike pitch. And this was the finishing pitch after the 2 good curveballs. That slider did not go down to the dirt like the previous sliders had on the strikeouts. I'm thinking Clevenger, because he's played so many positions, as Buck Showalter said, how much is he going to catch? And he said he has to commit to catching because he's played all the infield positions, and which could be good because if Chris Davis does leave via free agency, then he could always be the possible first baseman. Caleb Joseph could do the catching. Buck knows he's going to lose a lot off his payroll, and that's why really this year is important for the Orioles to try to have success, knowing that they are probably going to lose some key players.
J.J. Hardy not going anywhere. He's got a contract that runs through 2017. Fouls this one just to our right. Hardy has struck out and reached on an error. J.J. Hardy really the only Oriole that's had a quiet offensive series. He's 1 for 15. And that one is hit toward right center. Burns coming in, still coming in. He dives, you can't get it. So Hardy has a 1-out single. Billy Burns had to run a long way, just could not quite get to it.
And you notice how much deeper the A's outfielders are compared to the Orioles. That's an out, because I think Hardy hit the ball and thinking maybe Adam Jones is out there, and just a long run for Billy Burns. But if you play deep, those are the type of hits that are going to land in front of the outfielders. Great effort by Billy Burns, who did not start the game. But he thought he would be in the game, maybe not thinking he was going to be in there because Sam Fuld was ejected.
There's Urrutia, left-handed hitter, and he takes a strike on the outside corner. Yankees are leading the Twins 5-4 in the 4th inning at Yankee Stadium. Gibson and Sabathia pitching there, although I don't believe Sabathia is actually pitching in that game. He got pushed back. So lots of runs early at Yankee Stadium. Yankees with that half-game lead over the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are off today. They'll be at Philadelphia for a 2-game series starting tomorrow. Pomeranz starts to throw. This one playable. Shallow left. Canna's in a little bit, and he's got it. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Rangers leading the Mariners 1-0 bottom of the 3rd in Arlington. So that's the first of a 3-game series. Walker and Hamill. So Cole Hamels missed 1 start, but he's back out there for Texas. Rangers have won 4 in a row and 9 out of 13. Here's Caleb Joseph. And a good pitch. That low strike's been called most of the night, and Sonny Gray takes advantage of it.
And for sinker ball pitchers or ground ball pitchers, it's great. I think Kendall Graveman would love to have had Brian Knight behind the plate yesterday when he was throwing his sinker, and ended up throwing a lot of sliders, and those sliders were hit.
One rolled foul, and Sonny jumps ahead 0-2. So Gray rubs up a new baseball.
Raymond started yesterday in the Sunday game. He's now 6-9 on the season.
And that one is belted towards center. Burns on the move, still on the move. He dives, he can't get it. Rolls past him. It's going to allow Hardy to come in and score. And Joseph has an RBI double, a 2-out hit, and it's 4-2. So the Orioles get that run back.
Well, another 0-2 pitch too, and that's what hurts, because a 3-run home run came on the 0-2, and that was a slider that did not break down as sharply as he wanted it to, and struck him out in the first at bat. Billy Burns not able to make the catch, and you know what really comes to mind: if you're not going to make the catch, could Hardy have scored if he caught it on the hop? And I think that's the case. I think it would have been second and third, but once he left his feet, Hardy was not. Well, he doesn't run that well. His bad back probably prevents him from running as fast as he once did. But Caleb Joseph has
had a good series, huh?
You go back to Oakland and here, he's done well. With the big home run in Oakland.
So 7 hits and 4 runs now off Sonny Gray. And he'll face Machado. Machado a ground out, a line out, and a single. He's got 6 hits in the series. And a high strike called at 92 miles an hour. Slightly open stance for Machado. Machado, 5th in the league in runs scored, 6th in hits, 4th in total bases, 7th in slugging, 10th in batting average. So he's really having a good year. 25 homers, 62 RBIs.
23.
Seems to have a pretty good idea at the plate.
Well, the single he hit to right field in his last at bat is one he might be looking to do right now with a runner at second base. It's a mistake. He may try to pull it, but outfield straight up, infield straight up.
Ran in on Machado, and now the count is even at 2-2.
Aaron Brooks, who was optioned at AAA, gave up that pitch, a changeup. That was hit hard to left field in the 13th inning on Friday night.
Seems like a long time ago.
It seems like they threw a lot of stuff on him too. A lot of everybody.
Machado checks his swing. The count has run full. A run in on Joseph's double here in the 6th.
Didn't take long.
Nope, double check.
Stephen Vogt came out and said, what? Okay. I don't know if Stephen Vogt even got the words out of what you want to throw. You shook off everything I put down. So he told him, and that's what he's going to throw right now.
At 92, and Machado had a good rip at it. do it again. 95 pitches now for Sonny Gray. It seemed like the back issues bothered him too much. And he walked him.
Kurt Young went out and probably asked if he's okay with regard to the back, and that's going to be Andretti's coming out to bring Pomerantz in to face the left-handed Parra.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. It's your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. So Sonny Gray goes 5 2/3 tonight here in Baltimore, and he leaves trailing 4-2. Pomerantz coming in to face Parra.
By Chevron, Saturday, August the 22nd. All are encouraged to wear your Star Wars costumes and enjoy the post-game show from the outfield grass, though space is limited. Purchase a special ticket package to receive an R2-D2 beanie. Visit athletics.com/Star Wars for more information. Next Saturday is in the Tampa Bay Rays at the Coliseum. Tuesday, Wednesday, Dodgers. Thursday off. J.J. Hardy in the stands.
That's our guy.
Yep, he's announcing the pitcher.
That gentleman is here every game, and he's right below us.
Right below us.
How about the lineup?
Check his microphone. When I first saw it the other night, I thought it was a flashlight. Then I realized it's a little fake.
Yeah, it's not plugged in, and there are no batteries in there.
Unfortunately, it's not plugged in.
So he lets everybody know the lineups before the game, and when there's a substitution or a pitching change. And he generally gives a little bit of a scouting report on each pitcher that comes in.
And you know, on that, he's got the lineup sheet that we get.
Yes, he does.
So somebody from the press box would drop him one down, and so he can give the lineup back.
And he's here every game.
Every game.
A couple of years ago, I yelled down to him, "What?" and he didn't like that. I was messing with his routine. Haven't done it since. It's his ballpark. 0-1 to Parra, 2 on, 2 out. He's trying to keep this at 4-2. Pomerantz against Parra. Swing and a miss. There's the fastball by Pomerantz. Sonny Gray, 5 2/3, 4 runs, only 1 earned, and 97 pitches.
Now he just threw 2 fastballs by. What do you think he's going to throw now? What do you think he should throw?
A fastball. And he did.
Good.
And he got it by him at 94 miles an hour. So good job by Pomerantz. A run for the Orioles. So we're going to the 7th inning. Baltimore 4, the A's 2.
is presented by authority of the Oakland Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
A's fan in the house, but right now the Orioles leading 4-2 in the top of the 7th inning in Camden Yards. Big crowds the first 3 games in the series, but nice crowd tonight. Nothing close to what we saw Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here. So Ike Davis to lead it off against Chris Tillman. Is our guy still throwing out scouting reports?
He's doing something.
He does a lot more than just the lineups, trust me.
No catcher.
Walking slow. Davis, Simeon, and Sogard here in the 7th inning. Tillman at 94 pitches. Mike Davis, a walk and a ground out to short. And can't catch up with the fastball, a little above the letters. 1-2. Brad Brock starts to throw. Brock threw a lot of pitches in game 1 of this series. It was the extra inning game. 1-2 pitch and a fastball, swing and a miss. Strikeout number 3 for Tillman.
They probably recognized the fastball, didn't recognize it's just going to start moving away out of the strike zone, and Mike Davis at that point started, and that was it.
Simeon 0 for 2. And that one stays inside with a changeup. Simeon 4 for 13 in the series. Major League Baseball announced the dates for the postseason, which is always interesting. American League wild card game will be Tuesday, October 6th. And that is just foul. So season ends on Sunday, and then on that Tuesday, the American League wild card. The Wednesday will be the National League wild card. So that's the way it was last year, if I remember correctly. The wild card on Tuesday.
Right, except that it's a week later because the season ended at the end of September last year. Because the play-in game was, I think, September the 28th or 9th. But because the season didn't start till October the 6th this year. I mean, April the 6th, and it's going to end on October the 4th. That's why those dates you just gave are correct.
So the wild card game on Tuesday, then the division series in the American League starts on Thursday, and the National League will be Wednesday for the wild card, Friday for the division series.
Major League Baseball very hopeful there are no ties, so that one day, Monday, they don't have to play a whole bunch of games. I mean, they have that day off in anticipation of games because of tiebreakers.
World Series starts on October 27th. Game 7 would be November 4th.
It's got to be a sweep, otherwise it's November.
Get your jackets out. That's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Tillman. 7th inning stretch from Baltimore. Orioles 4 and the A's 2. Here's our true story brought to you by McDonald's. Buck Showalter playoff history. Remember, the year after he left the Yankees as manager, the Yankees won it all. And then the year after he left the Diamondbacks, they won it all under Bob Melvin. Now Buck Showalter a couple times to the postseason here with the Baltimore Orioles. They were the #2 wild card team in 2012. And then last year they won the American Least in runaway fashion. They won it by 12 games. They won 96 games. So Buck Showalter trying to get the Orioles back to the postseason for the 3rd time in 4 years. And they're in a good pennant race in the American League with a lot of teams involved. Pomeranz stays in. He'll face Adam Jones. First pitch curveball, roll foul. And now Scribner gets up. Scribner in the A's bullpen way out left center field. They're the upper part of the bullpen. Orioles are in the lower part of the bullpen. So 0-2 to Jones.
Jones has not seen a lot of fastballs to hit tonight, and he likes the fastball. The ones he got from Sonny Gray were inside. One jammed him, the other almost hit him when he swung, and then struck out on a good slider.
And that was another good breaking ball. And on 3 pitches, Jones strikes out, and none of the pitches were in the strike zone. So Jones is 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts.
And when you look fastball and you get it, you hit it. In the case of Jones, that's what he does so well, but he looks fastball every pitch and makes you wonder why you even throw him a strike. I don't know if he thought he fouled that ball, but it looked like he missed it plenty.
Here's Davis. Swing and a miss. Sean Doolittle's getting close, huh, Ray?
It sounds like it. It's good. Yep.
Sounds like maybe 2 more rehab starts, maybe less. But 1 or 2 is what was reported earlier today. And if all goes well, that one skied to center. Burns at the wall, and it is caught by Billy Burns. What a play. And
that was a home run.
The wall is pretty short out there, and that allowed Burns to time it, get up over the wall, and take a home run away from Chris Davis.
This shows how strong this man is. And Billy Burns did the exact right thing. Got back and then jumped up. He had plenty of time with it up in the air. So long he could look a couple of times, find out, get to the edge of the wall, jump up, and bring it back. And of course, one of the most memorable here was that of Mike Trout going to right center, jumping up and way up high and bringing the ball back, similar to what Billy Burns just did here. And so nice play by Billy Burns.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change tune-up and smog experts.
California is brought to you by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. And by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
So 4-2, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. A's go back to their bullpen. They get an inning from Pomeranz. A couple of strikeouts and a great catch. And now Scribner comes in to face Scope.
Orioles, our good friend down below, his name is Everett Scribner.
Everett Scribner?
Yep. He probably thought it was shortened to Evan.
That guy can say whatever he wants.
Yes, he can. And Billy Burns just made a play similar to the one he made in San Diego, although they said that one in San Diego might not have made it out. But this one looked like it was for sure going to be a home run, robbed by Burns in center.
First pitch to Scope.
Sam Folk probably would have done the same thing, except he was ejected. But Burns took over for him, fitting with his right hand. And you never want the wall to prevent you from jumping up and catch the ball. And he went to the edge straight up, and pretty good jumping ability by Billy Burns to rob him.
Two for 3 for Scope tonight. 7 hits in the series, and he swings at a high fastball, and it's 1-2. Sonny Gray started, went 5 2/3. Simeon has the big hop, throws in time. And that'll do it for the Orioles in a quiet bottom of the 7th inning. We're going to the 8th. These will have the top of their order. It's 4-2 Baltimore. Their 17th annual Breast Cancer Awareness Day, presented by Zevia, the zero-calorie soda, and supported in part by Athena Bottled Water, Nelson Staffing, Comerica Bank, and State Roofing Systems of San Leandro. Prior to the game, 10,000 fans will receive a breast cancer awareness scarf, courtesy of Zevia, to join the fight. Purchase your special tickets now at athletics.com/survivor. A's come to bat here in the top of the 8th. Trailing 4-2. And they will have the top of the order. They'll face a new pitcher. It's time for change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. So Darren O'Day comes in, 5-1. Terrific ERA of 1.19.
Yeah, the A's have hit 2 home runs, but they only have 3 hits in the game. Those 3 coming off Chris Tillman, who started with 7 innings. And now the sinker ball pitcher comes in.
102 pitches for Tillman. A very good outing. 7 innings, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So Tillman pitched in Game 1 and Game 2 of this series. So he's a workhorse.
Yeah, O'Day seems to be the setup man for Buck Showalter to go to him, and then Britton is closer. So Brock throwing in the bullpen, but it was not his time of the game. It was more with the lead, go to O'Day and then Britton.
Venditti starts to throw. One and 2 to Burns, his first at bat. Fouls that one just over the screen. Sam Fuld was ejected in the 5th inning. He was called out of the baseline running to first base. And he argued and he was thrown out, and so was the manager. So Burns came in, and now he gets his first at bat, and he keeps fouling them off like usual, making the pitcher work.
Well, he saved one. See if he can get on base to start the A's rally to at least score 1 and maybe try to get back in the game.
So Mike Eldreddy, the acting manager. Canada follow, and then Reddick. And a line into the dugout. Down at the end. Looks like everybody's okay. Not a whole lot of time to react on that one. How about 0 time?
And all, just looking at the dugout, all the players that were leaning over the rail just ducked under the rail.
Yep.
Which is smart. And one of those guys, as soon as O'Day started to pitch, just took the deep knee bend. That rail is there to protect people, not to stand up there like sitting ducks. If that's what they do when they lean over.
Another foul ball. Burns out in front, but just kept his hands back enough to foul it to the screen. So an 8-pitch at bat so far. So O'Day holds the hands up high. Jones goes back and now stops. He's underneath it, 1 away. This is what we were talking about, Ray, the ejections in the 5th inning.
Well, I think when that rule is determined, the rule states that a hitter, when he runs, his momentum can carry him both sides, either side. And Sam did not intentionally run to be try to be hit. He was running to the bag, and that's really what the rule stipulates, that you don't have to stay in the running lane if in the case of a bunted ball. Sam was running and running straight to the bag. Happened to be on the grass, but all that could have been a moot point if Caleb Joseph had not thrown the ball into the runner, and that's where Brian Knight decided to call the out.
Canna's got a single and a homer tonight. He has also popped out to second. So he's had a good night. Billy Burns made O'Day throw 9 pitches. That time he sweeps a slider in there to Canna, who doesn't agree with the call. 1-2.
A lot harder on right-handed hitters, O'Day is, and he's got a righty in between two lefties. Burns a switch hitter, batting left-handed, but then Reddick behind him, and then Valencia and Vogt. So Bob Melvin putting together his lineup, spreading out the lefties and righties, not putting them back to back.
And a high fastball, and kind of chased it. So 2 away here in the top of the 8th for Reddick.
O'Day gave up the hit to Cano on a similar pitch, but this one got by him, kind of the upshoot. And O'Day has done a very good job for Buck Showalter, especially in this role. And he's with the Rangers, and they used to sing the O'Day O'Day song there too, and they brought it all the way to Baltimore.
First pitch to Reddick is hit high in the air, right field, but it's playable as Parra is under it. And Darren O'Day, the all-star from this year, has a 3-up, 3-down inning. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Still 4-2 Orioles. All right, game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 2-3-2 for the A's, 4-7-1 for the Orioles. Sonny Gray went 5 2/3, gave up 4 runs, only 1 earned. And the home runs, a couple for the A's and another one for the Orioles. It was a big one, a 3-run shot. And the Orioles have hit 11 home runs in this series. So that's the story so far as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. And it's 4-2, and when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up. Your oil change, tune-up, and small experts. So it's Pat Venditti, who's probably dying to get back out on this mound after giving up the home run to win the game to Chris Davis on Saturday night. So he'll face Clevenger, Hardy, and Urrutia. So he'll pitch left-handed to the left-handed hitting Clevenger.
Clevenger hit the 3-run home run. That
one's hit pretty well to left field. Canna's at the wall, and he missed it. And it pops up into the seats, and it'll be a double or an error. Either way, Clevenger's at second.
Well, that's a catchable ball, and it should have been yeah, it should be, because the ball was slicing, and that's what you have to play in the corner outfield and see how it's there, and then starts going to his right and just did not stay with it. That's a horrible feeling, but in the corners, you see the ball slicing. As a left-hander, will go towards the foul line, a right-hander right field towards the foul line.
So E7, and here's Hardy, who takes a bit inside. So 3 errors tonight for the A's. They had not made an error in the first 3 games of the series. So 99 errors now for the A's.
Have not made an error since the first game of this series, or first game of the road trip in Toronto in the second inning. Well, tonight it's been costly. And unfortunately, that's what happens. You look at the end of this year, and you're going to look at statistics and see in that unearned run column, or earned runs unearned, and that's going to be a number that stands out, and it correlates with the errors.
So 2-1 the count to Hardy, who's 1 for 3 with a single and a run score. He's off that slider again, and it's 3-1. So the Orioles would love an insurance run. And Hardy hits a fastball, takes it 84 miles an hour, so 3-2. Jam shot, foul into the seats. Fan caught it without a glove.
There's Rex Barney when you need him. That fan a contract. Rex Barney would have had he'd have been all over that fan. And I think our friend down below, Rex Barney, would have had a good time with him too.
Bounce towards Simeon. Straightens up, throws in time, but Hardy does his job. He gets to run it over. So a productive out for Hardy. So now a runner at third and 1 out for Urrutia. So the infield will come in for the A's. Urrutia is 0 for 3. First pitch is fouled just behind Stephen Vogt. Rolls back.
He got him somewhere though. I don't know where, but I'm not asking him. But Stephen Vogt said that pitch that Chris Davis walked still strike. I don't care if you ask me how I feel, it's still strike, because he asked him after got out of the inning.
Venditti jumps ahead 0-2 to the left-handed hitting Urrutia. He's 2 for 11 in this series. 0 for 3 tonight.
Well, if he's going to throw a slider, do the old chase slider way outside. And that is a slider. Stephen Vogt needs to move it far out as he can. And that's a little bit too much of the plate. And that's what happened with Chris Davis Friday night. I'll make it Saturday night when he hit the slider off Venditti. Lefty on lefty, but when he threw the slider, he dropped down, but left it kind of in the middle of the plate. And Venditti admitted I needed to go about a foot more farther outside. 3-thumbed glove.
Davis has it, steps on first, and that's out number 2. And I think, talking about that Chris Davis home run, if he swung at that pitch, I think the point is if the pitch was 6 inches further out, he probably would have swung at that too.
Exactly. He probably swung and missed it, or it rolled over, hit a ground ball or something. But well, look at the location of the pitch from Venditti to Davis Saturday night. He run a little bit farther outside, but he just left it. Going around the bases like he's done it a few times.
Yes, he has. Plus, the first base coach left him hanging. You see that? He went for the fist pump, and nobody was there. So he just did a fake pump.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Mr. Kirby said, I've seen you do that enough. I don't need to.
I'm out of here. Caleb Joseph has a big hit in this game, a 2-out double that knocked in a run in the 6th inning. And there's the closer, Zach Britton. And that that one's hit high and deep. Left field corner. Canna is there, and he makes the catch. Got it out on the end of the bat a little bit. Canna tracked it down, and the Orioles do not score. So we're headed to the ninth. Time to go to work for the A's. They trail 4-2.
To play the game, well, he came up with a big home run. That's Steve Clevenger on to play the game, as after an error with 2 outs and then a single, a 3-run home run by Steve Clevenger give the Orioles at that time a 3-0 lead, made it 3-1, 3-2, then 4-2, and that was it. The big home run of the game, big hit of the game, our Honda play of the game goes to another Oriole.
So for the 3rd time in this series, Zach Britton takes the mound. He got a blown save on Friday. He got a win on Saturday. Did not pitch yesterday. And a blown save on Friday, his 2nd of the year. So he's 28 for 30 in save opportunities. And the first pitch to Valencia is grounded to Machado, who gives ground, spins around, throws, and they just got Valencia by a half a step.
Well, Machado has a very strong arm, and he shows it whenever he hit the ball, but in fact, he went back and then threw. I think he thought he had a little bit more time than he did, and he just barely got Valencia, who was hustling down the line, and the 360, and he thought somebody else was running and just barely got it.
So out number 1, here's Vogt. And a fastball at 96, but a little outside. Ground ball percentage 85.5. And that's really good. A sinker with very high velocity is what Britton has. Vogt is lined out, walked twice. And that one misses, and it's 3-0. I just would love to just get the tying run up to the plate, especially in this ballpark, and it's a place where the ball does jump out.
Stephen Vogt has seen 11 consecutive pitches out of the strike zone. Make it 12. That's 3 consecutive at bats. 3-0 and a walk. How do you explain that?
So Billy Butler will get a chance. Butler has struck out, hit into a double play, and grounded out. And he's 3 for 13 in the series. First pitch is on the inside corner for a strike. Britton is 3rd in the American League in saves. Perkins has 31. Boxberger from the Rays has 29, and then Britton has 28. Fegley has come out into the on-deck circle. That's Ike Davis' spot. Butler bounces it to short. Hardy to second for 1, to first, double play, and that's the ball game, and that's the series, and that's the forgettable road trip for the Athletics. And it ends on a double play hit by Billy Butler. So the Orioles finish off the 4-game sweep of the Athletics, and the A's will now head home and get ready for the Dodgers, and that will be tomorrow night at the Coliseum. But a very disappointing road trip for the A's here on the East Coast. Tonight's game took 2 hours and 35 minutes. Attendance here at Camden Yards, 22,766. The final score, the Baltimore Orioles behind Chris Tillman 4 and the Oakland A's 2. You've been watching Oakland A's baseball.